Today I will show you an action thriller film titled Casino Royale. Be ready for spoilers. Two vehicles drive into a muddy rebel military base in East Africa's country of Uganda and stop outside a hut surrounded by fully armed child soldiers. A man named Chiffre steps out of the vehicle, as he had been invited by the rebel leader called General Abano. Abano opened several metallic suitcases containing $120 million in cash, which Chiffre had promised to launder and make legally accessible from anywhere in the world. After loading the money on the truck, Chiffre contacts his close associate, who is preparing to manipulate the stock market to launder this substantial sum of money. In a shanty town located in Madagascar, two MI6 agents, James Bond and his partner Carter, are following a small bomb maker named Malaka, whom they suspect is carrying a bomb. Malaka receives a text message instructing him to move, and he starts moving. Abruptly, he notices Agent Carter's hand on his ear and understands he's under pursuit. Immediately, Malaka fires several shots into the air, dispersing the crowd and using the chaos to try to escape from Carter. James joins the chase to stop Malaka, who escapes through thick bushes, getting hot on his heels. However, after neatly jumping over the fence, Malaka increases the distance between them and temporarily manages to lose Bond. Even slows down now, trying to look for a hiding spot, but Bond spots him and comes crushing into everything using a caterpillar he had hijacked. Malaka runs and starts climbing up a nearby construction, and James quickly follows after him. They climb higher until there is nowhere else to go, forcing Malaka to jump onto a suspended ledge. Bond also jumps and catches up, and the two begin fighting on the narrow ledge. Bond trips but manages to hold himself before falling, giving Malaka another chance to escape. Bond also jumps, but unlike Malaka, he lands badly but survives. Malaka runs and enters a nearby Nambitu embassy. When Bond sees him from a distance, he goes back and jumps over the fence unnoticed, catches the terrorist off guard, and starts beating him up. Regrettably, the alarm triggers, prompting all the soldiers defending the embassy to swiftly converge from every position. Bond tries fighting back, but he is greatly outnumbered, forcing him to jump out of the window, trying to escape, but he is very quickly surrounded by the armed soldiers, and when he realizes he cannot win, Bond drops his gun and releases the prisoner as if he is surrendering. And in that confusion, he quickly draws another gun and shoots a gas tank behind him, blowing it up. By the time the situation calms down, Bond has vanished from sight. He has escaped with Malaka's bag, which has a bomb, and his cell phone, which only has one text message written in ellipses. Back in London, Bond breaks into his boss's house and hacks into the MI6 database. He traces the text message's origins back to the Bahamas, specifically the Ocean Club Hotel. His boss, M, returns and finds Bond inside her house. She is not happy to see him because the news of an MI6 agent blowing up the embassy made worldwide headlines. Despite the negative impact on the English government, M orders him to find another criminal who is supplying terrorists with bombs. Bond takes a flight to Nassau in the Bahamas, where he suspects a more significant plot, and then proceeds towards the Ocean Club Hotel, the source of the message. As soon as he arrives, Bond crashes a car in the parking lot to distract the guards and gain easy access to the surveillance room, which houses all the cameras. He checks the footage on the day the message was sent, and although he is not sure, he spots a man from a fancy vintage car sending a message. He then suspects he is the man and decides to investigate him. Later, upon conducting further research, he discovers that the man's name is Alex Dimitrios, a close associate of well-known international criminals, including the money launderer Chiffre. Later, Bond dresses up nicely and joins Alex at a table where they were playing blackjack. When his beautiful wife walks in, Bond quickly learns he does not treat her right, and with that simple observation, Bond knows that with a little bit of seduction, she would easily say everything about him. And after losing all his money and car to Bond, an angry Alex walks out, leaving his wife alone. When Bond sees her walking home by herself, he quickly swipes in and offers to take her home. But instead of taking her to her house, he takes her back to his hotel room, where she receives a call from her husband. Bond overhears him saying he is going to Miami. And once he learns this information, he leaves her lying on the floor and heads to Miami. At the same time, Alex also arrives at the casino, and Bond starts following him around. He places a big black bag on the counter, and Bond hides himself while keeping his eyes on him. Unfortunately, Alex had already noticed him, so he grabbed him in the back with a knife. But Bond very quickly overpowers him, stabs him in the stomach, and kills him. But in that commotion, another person picked up the bag and started heading to the airport. Bond quickly takes Alex's phone and calls the number that sent the ellipsis message. He notices a man with a black suitcase receiving the call. He follows him, trying to figure out what he is up to. The man enters a changing room and changes into a guard's uniform. He then breaks down and opens the airport sprinklers. He triggers a panic, causing everyone to start running. He uses this commotion to make his way out of the building into the employees-only section, where he steals a police car and drives towards the runway. Bond, spotting him from a distance, immediately recognizes his target, a prototype of the world's largest airplane, set for commercial unveiling. The man quickly hijacks a gasoline tanker and plants a bomb underneath it. But as he drives off, Bond sees the dead body on the ground, and then he starts chasing the tanker on foot. He jumps on top of it, nearly losing his grip. When the man sees him dangling on the back, he collides with another truck, forcing Bond to jump to avoid squashing into it. The man tries to drive off, but Bond runs again and manages to climb up and hold onto the truck. Airport security is also chasing after this gasoline tanker. Bond breaks into the front glass and the two begin fighting. The cops shoot the tires to stop it, but this does not seem to help. As the plane takes off, all the light police cars blow away, leaving Bond alone to deal with the terrorist. The man overpowers him, nearly kicking him out of the truck. Bond notices the small bomb beeping. And as the man prepares to jump out of the truck, Bond quickly hangs it on his trousers and unknowingly leaps out with the bomb. Bond tries to slow down, but the truck's brake pads don't function properly. So he jumps off the truck, but the police quickly surround him and arrest him. The terrorist sends the message to trigger the bomb to explode, only to discover that Bond had attached the bomb to him, and he blows up. Months later, Bond gets horrified by what he sees on the beach. He discovers Alex's wife's lifeless body tangled in a tree branch. M asserts that the woman endured torture prior to her brutal murder, and she has unearthed evidence linking Chiffre to the attempted plane bombing. She says that Chiffre had met with the airline suicide bomber, hoping that the plane explosion would hamper the stocks and make him a lot of money. But when the mission failed, he lost $120 million. General Obano gave him the money to launder, so in an attempt to recoup his losses, Chiffre organized a high-stakes poker game at Casino Royale in Montenegro with an entry fee of $10 million and a prize pool of over $150 million for the winner. Bond is the best player in MI6, so M entered him into the competition and instructs him to not only win but also to arrest Chiffre. Bond takes a train heading to Montenegro, where he meets with his new partner, Vesper Lynd, sent by the Treasury to deliver the money to him. And thanks to Bond's charming character in good fashion, she quickly falls for him, which is an advantage, as she is to play in Lovers. Upon their arrival in Montenegro's capital, they immediately make their way to Casino Royale, where they encounter Renee Mathis, the MI6 contact responsible for providing protection in the event of any mishap. That night, Bond dons a sharp suit and walks to the tournament venue, where he encounters Chiffre in person for the first time. And after confirming that all 10 players and deposits of $10 million are required to participate in the tournament, the game begins. At first, Bond starts playing reckless, risking more than he should, ultimately losing a lot of money very quickly. Vesper is deeply unhappy with his reckless behavior, as it appears that Bond would be the first to face disqualification. In an attempt to calm her down, Bond approaches her and kisses her, saying that he's doing this to understand Chiffre's strategy, implying that Chiffre relies solely on luck and has no defined plan. During their break, Chiffre quickly goes upstairs to his hotel room as his wife is calling for him. General Obano strikes him from behind since he discovered that Chiffre has lost his launder money. And as punishment for losing his money, General Obano removes a machete, intending to cut off his wife's hand. Simultaneously, Bond and Lynd listen to the entire situation. Just as the two men emerge, they quickly pretend to be kissing in order to conceal their identities. But General Obano spots the earpiece on Bond, and he learns he is after them. He shoots at them, then General Obano attacks them with a machete, forcing them to jump downstairs and try to escape. Vesper attempts to escape through the staircase door, but it's locked. Bond smacks Obano to the ground, then holds him from behind, choking him as hard as possible until he suffocates him to death. After hiding the bodies, Bond quickly cleans himself up and returns to the table as if nothing had happened. Although Chiffre does not say anything, he notices the bruises on Bond's face. The next day during the game, things start looking up from Chiffre. He embarks on a winning streak, winning nearly every round and every single penny from Bond. Enraged, Bond grabs a knife to kill Chiffre, but he encounters an undercover CIA agent who is also after Chiffre. The CIA agent offers to give him the money, as he is the only one who seems like he could actually win. And when he returns to the playing table, he lowers his ego and raises his head ready to work. As he starts winning round after round, his confidence grows and he is given a drink. But after drinking it, he quickly realizes he has been poisoned by Chiffre, who is willing to do anything to win. He leaves the table, slowly becoming disoriented, but manages to stagger to his car. Bond starts going into cardiac arrest. He removes a defibrillator and attaches it to his chest to shock the heart into working again. But he fails to push the red button because he has lost his strength. He faints, losing all hope. Fortunately, Vesper arrives and revives him. To Lashife's surprise, Bond sits back at the table, appearing to be fully healthy and ready to go. Bond pushes all his chips to the table, staking a total of $14 million. After seeing this, Lashife stakes all his money on the table, bringing the total stakes to $150 million. Everyone starts to smile, but Bond's victory in the tournament wipes away their smiles. Vesper and Bond stay behind to celebrate their victory, confident that Lashife will soon face either CIA arrest or his own associates' deaths. Vesper walks out, claiming that Mathis is calling for her. But Bond senses something out of the ordinary and quickly runs after her, only to find she's being kidnapped. He quickly starts his car and begins chasing, driving at an incredible speed. He finds Vesper lying in the road, forcing him to drive off before hitting her. His car rolls over several times until it stops. Lashife removes a badly injured Bond from the car wreck and takes the two to an abandoned warehouse, where no one can hear their screams. They position the chair in the center of the room, cutting off its bottom. After stripping off all his clothes, Lashife forces Bond to sit on it, his marbles hanging from below. Bond's fear is evident, as he's fully aware of Lashife's plans. Before Lashife begins his torment, he offers Bond an opportunity to calmly provide the password to the account containing all the winnings, but Bond refuses to speak. Lashife grabs a rope and begins hitting the hanging marbles. Because of the immense pain he is experiencing, Bond cries loudly and painfully. Lashife knocks him to the ground, wanting to cut off his young boys, claiming Bond does not have their values. Abruptly, a man brandishing a gun kicks open the door and enters. Lashife tries to beg the man to spare his life, as he is in the process of getting their money. However, the man shoots and kills him. Bond opens his eyes. He is in a safe location with Vesper. She sheds tears of gratitude, as she is more than thankful to him for risking his own life just to avoid hitting her on that road. The banker brings a suitcase to transfer the funds to the Bond's bank account, in accordance with the tournament's agreement. Instead of the two going back to work, they head off to the beautiful city to spend quality time together. Vesper wakes up early, puts on a nice-looking dress, and promises Bond that she is going to transfer the money back to the MI6 treasury. But later on, Bond receives a call from M, claiming they had not received the money. He quickly contacts the banker, only to be told that the money has been withdrawn from that same city. Bond quickly runs out of the hotel, trying to locate Vesper in the crowded city. He spots her carrying a briefcase and starts following her. She goes further out of the city until she comes to a dark alleyway. Vesper hands over the briefcase to a shady-looking man, confirming his worst fear that she was only pretending to love him to gain access to the money. In an attempt to escape, they begin opening fire to Bond. But this kind of betrayal is too personal for a Bond to just let go. So he gets his gun and begins going after them, taking out anyone who stands in his way. Bond shoots the inflated air balloons at the bottom, then uses the commotion to enter the building. Bond shoots the second balloon that keeps the building floating. This causes the building to collapse as water floods in. Bond eliminates all the mercenaries, but Vesper gets stuck in the elevator, which also collapses and falls into the water. Bond jumps into the water and swims toward her. He attempts to open the door, but it remains locked. Vesper approaches and holds his hand, seemingly apologizing. But she loses her strength and starts to drown. Bond breaks the door open, but by the time he manages to get her out, her body has already turned cold. Bond could only watch the lifeless body of the woman he loved, but for her, she was only using him to get the money. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.